Hello, and welcome to the Pharma Forum podcast. I'm your host, Eloise McLennan, and you are listening to a special series celebrating 10 years of Frontiers Health, a global event hosted and powered by Eversana that brings together individuals from across the spectrum of health innovation. Now, over the past decade, Frontiers Health has become known for convening digital health pioneers, investors, entrepreneurs, and industry leaders to explore the future of healthcare. As the 2025 edition approaches, we're taking a look back at some of the key moments, relationships, and themes that have defined the conference and the industry at large. Now, I'm thrilled to be joined today by someone who knows the conference inside and out, Denise Silber, who is founder of Basil Strategies, Doctors 2.0, and VR for Health. She's also a longtime friend, supporter, and ambassador of Frontiers Health. And she has played a huge role in shaping the community over the years. So Denise, thank you so much for being here. It's great to have your voice in this anniversary series.
It's a real pleasure for me to have this invitation. Thank you so much.
So let's start with your own journey. Can you share a little bit about your background and the work that you're focused on at the moment?
Yes, I believe that I've never really changed my focus, but it's had to adapt to all the different technologies. My focus has always been the intersection of the healthcare professional, the patient, and new technologies for the purpose of improving the quality of prevention and care. And this has led me successively through, because this has taken over 25 years, this has led me through the different arrivals of technology, from the electronic health record to mobile apps, virtual reality, and now, of course, with artificial intelligence. And as well, the growth of the whole concept that also changes names, but is pretty much the same thing, of patient-centeredness or patient centricity.
That's quite a transformational period to go through. And you've been a part of the Frontiers Health community for many, many years now. So looking back, is there a moment from the conference that really stands out to you, or something that you can remember particularly clearly?
Well, what I would love to say is that I actually met Roberto Ascioni at the very beginning of this digital health historical arrival. We began around the same time in the late 90s, and then our paths crossed when I created Doctors 2.0 and You, and he came along as a speaker and a supporter. I was thrilled when I got the opportunity to not only be an ambassador, but also to organize sessions and introduce patient centricity several years ago, a couple of times in a row at the conference, because given that Frontiers Health attracts the whole ecosystem, and in particular has a good representation of industry and investors, I was delighted that the idea of the importance of patient centricity could be exposed to those people.
And how have you seen the conference change over the years since you first began to attend to now becoming an ambassador as well? How has the conference changed over the years for you?
Well, it has grown in parallel with the growth of the importance of digital health. I mentioned just a minute ago about industry. There is a far greater number of people from industry, pharmaceutical, life sciences, medical devices than there was at the beginning. Simultaneously, the growth of the whole startup sector has enabled Frontiers to not only have contests and awards regarding startups, but now also for scale-ups. And we've seen that it's not so easy to get the investment community to come to an event and spend quality time there, but they have managed to do that thanks to this whole health ecosystem or digital health ecosystem that the conference has developed and even assigned people to take care of, such as Luigi. If we mention Roberto, we should mention Luigi. I would also like to add that another favorite memory of mine is when I got to go on stage in Berlin at one of the early conferences and got to recognize the work of each of the team, citing all their names. And I could see that they were just beaming. There's such pride from this Italian headquartered team, and it comes out throughout the event, through the selfies that we do together and through the work that we do during the year.
And your work intersects, as we mentioned at the top of the show, with many of the core themes of Frontiers Health. So can you tell us top three areas that you're most passionate about or focused on at the moment?
Yes. Well, there would still be the physician patient relationship through communication and through tools. That would be one. And we can call it patient centricity, or we call it the physician patient relationship. The importance and potential of virtual reality for therapeutic purposes is high on my list. I manage and edit VR for Health as a platform to present important work in this field and really be the place online where you can find hundreds of pages of information about virtual reality that is just not known enough. And I think that there are reasons for that that we could go into. And now one can't take a step without thinking of artificial intelligence. So I think everyone is forced to put that high on their list. It's really, if we said that when the web came, it was like Gutenberg's printing press, I think that AI is like electricity.
That's a very interesting way of putting it, that it opens up this whole new world of possibility that we perhaps didn't know about before. So that's a really interesting point there. So, what are some of the things that you would like to see discussed or you're most looking forward to hearing about from this year's event?
Well, what I would like to hear discussed is the challenge between scaling up and continuing to innovate and identify new tools, the lack of standards. Today, for example, I cannot go up to a cardiologist or an oncologist and say, for your practice, here are the X things that if you have them, if you use them, nobody can do better than you. And this is it's a real lack. It's true for our hospitals. Each one, like if you go and try to find the most digitalized hospital, it's never going to be doing exactly the same things with the digital tools they took in. And it's not just because they have different patients. It's because of the non-orderly way in which these innovations are arriving and being funded. Sometimes I like to just take out a whistle and say, stop for a minute. Let's see what is worth pursuing and focus on getting everybody to use those. So that's one big topic. And there are other topics that are also causes, like the problem that it's still one, despite all that you see, the percent of funding that is too low in Europe compared to the US, although of course that might change with recent political changes. The funding for women and minorities that is not at all reflective of what they can bring. That would be another topic. Then maybe one that is not obviously about innovation, but it could be, which is the problem of bias in how we manage the health of women, and in particular, the insufficient attention to the number of women dying from cardio reasons. We hear so much about certain cancers, but we don't hear enough about that. And what could this very international conference bringing people together do for that in terms of informing people? And maybe there's technology that could help with it.
Yeah, that's definitely an area that I do believe will be on everybody's minds when we're going in, particularly what AI can do to help bring down those cardiovascular events. Looking at it from a new perspective, which is for somebody who may be visiting for the first time, as somebody who has been involved with the conference for many iterations, what advice would you give to someone attending for the first time this year?
I would tell them to prepare, to really have a close look at the program in advance and select the things that are of the greatest interest, and perhaps even go beyond that to see what those people are doing, looking at LinkedIn, for example, arranging appointments with the people you would like to meet, and then just taking advantage of everything. I'm going to tell you what not to do, which is to not let yourself get pulled out onto a call during the conference. Really take advantage of it. Be there for it. It's once a year and it's worth it. There's so much going on that if you add to it yet another pillar of activities that are your own, you're going to regret it.
I think that's some great advice, particularly in preparing and making your appointments early. Also make sure that you speak to new people and not just the people that you know, so you can make those connections with other newbies that are joining us, as well as the more experienced people who have been to Frontiers many years. And finally, as we reflect on the previous 10 years of Frontiers Health and look towards the next 10, if you had to, and not to put you on the spot here, choose one word or phrase to capture the future of health, what would it be and why?
I would say sustainability, because that encapsulates all of the problem of not being able to offer everything to everyone.
I think that is a very, very good way to summarize it, because in order to make sure that all of these innovations are able to reach patients and make the impact that they need to, they have to be sustainable long term. I think that's
It's,
a really, really good way to summarize it.
yes, I would add that sustainability is gaining in importance amongst healthcare actors, and that, for example, the major health system in France has a sustainability department.
Fantastic. Well, Denise, we have arrived at the end of our session today. Thank you so much for taking the time to join this special series. We could not have had a Frontiers Health celebration without you in it. Your continued support has meant a great deal to the community, and it's been a real pleasure to hear your reflections and insights here. So thank you very much for joining me.
Well, Eloise, you have some great questions that really make your guests think.
Thank you very much. That's all for today's episode. Be sure to stay tuned as we continue this series with more voices from the world of health innovation, leading up to the 10th anniversary edition of Frontiers Health this November in Berlin. See you there.
And that concludes another episode of the Pharma Forum podcast. You can find more information about this episode, including a download link and information about previous installments at pharmaforum.com/podcasts. The Pharma Forum podcast is also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, Pocket Casts, Podbean, and pretty much wherever else you download your other podcasts from. Just search for Pharma Forum and follow and hit subscribe. Of course, don't forget to visit our website itself, where you can sign up for daily and weekly news and analysis bulletins. And do follow us on Blue Sky and LinkedIn at Pharma Forum. That's all for now. Thank you for listening.